podcast. This is a podcast that is for homeowners, home buyers, home renovators, and these are going to be all the people on this show that are pros that are working on your home, helping you buy a home, helping you upgrade a home, helping you protect your home. And Jason is a construction guru who has been in construction for 20 plus years, has worked on custom homes in the Preston Hollow area, the top 1% of construction. He's done spec homes, he's done remodels, he's done house flips, and finally landed in 2015 doing load-bearing wall removal. And that is all that Load-Bearing Wall Pros does. They do some remodeling, but just in the Dallas area. And they take out walls, they do it in a day. It's awesome. So he found his niche, and that's what he's been doing since 2015. So he's got a lot of knowledge to weigh in on all the things that happen to a home. And today's guest is Luba. And Luba, do you have a last name? I never knew your last name.
You better not to pronounce it.
Well, it's like an artist. It's like a famous artist. It's like, this is just Prince, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it like Seal?
Yeah.
It's just Luba.
It's just Luba.
Yeah, it's her own product. It's her own brand. It's Luba.
That's
and
it.
Luba's passion is for interior design, and that's what she does. And she started many years early in her years, actually, with her father. He was a residential construction business, working primarily in the European market, She worked alongside him. She learned not only the day-to-day operations, but the importance of quality craftsmanship and the power of well-designed spaces. So you worked with your dad getting off the ground there. She got her master's in business economics and her postgraduate in strategic marketing. She's a whiz on the social media. And when her family relocated to Dallas, Texas, due to job demands, she decided to put her passion, creative thinking, and business acumen into reimagining spaces for people to call their home. So that's how the DECOROOM, a full-service interior design company, was founded by Miss Luba here in January of 2021. Their approach is less is more, and design style can be described as modern minimalist. So minimalist. Put it together, your hands together for Miss Luba. We only got a few people to clap for you. Sorry.
It's like a pretty skin, like a skeleton crew audience that we got there. Like,
sorry.
We made the tickets too hard to get to the event. Sorry, the line was wrapped around the building in the 100-degree weather.
I've got other ones, but anyway, sorry that you got just the 3 people clapping. So, Luba, welcome to the Pros Podcast. I am Rhett. I'm Jason's brother. I know very little about construction. I'm our marketing department, and so I'm like one of the audience that maybe doesn't know so much, and I'm here to facilitate the pros talking and just learn as much as everyone else is. So with that, I'll turn it over to our host, Jason Holsey.
Howdy, welcome. Glad that everyone's here. Glad that Luba's here. She fills out the seat over to Rhett's left as our guest of the day. Mm-hmm. So first question, you have there's so many questions I want to ask you, but I want to just jump on the modern minimalist style to start with. Tell us, can you give us a definition, and then can you use that word in a sentence?
I've often thought that it's like you can't even find a drawer holder because everything's hidden and
so minimalist.
It's so sleek.
It's like the Batcave. You have to touch a book to get the door to open.
And it's not just that.
Okay.
So modern minimalist interior design style, it's more, aesthetically pleasing, but monochromatic color palette with color used as an accent. So if we're using, for example, I'm all neutral.
You're wearing modern minimalist.
I am wearing modern minimalist.
She's wearing modern minimalist, folks.
So if, for example, we're using 80% of a neutral color palette, we use different materials, textures, colors. If it's even neutral color, there will be different spectrum of the colors. And then we'll add some accent elements. It could be colors, again, moldings, paneling, anything like that, just to bring the space together. So it's more of a cleaner look, more aesthetically pleasing, clean, calm vibe, but with added functionality and comfort, of course.
Do you have any famous architecture that you could reference for our audience that would be in a good example of modern minimalist? What look would it? Is there something you can tie us to that can create a little picture?
Well, one thing for sure is your Instagram account, and you have tons. She has tons of pictures on there, a lot of videos, and you even go and look at stuff and different decoration. What do you call that? Design center places that have a lot of furniture or.
Yes, vendors. Well, we visit
Vendors.
different vendors, different expos, or yes, the last one was the Dallas Market Center, Lightovation. So there's a lot of over 100 different vendors. They're coming in, presenting their new products, and that's where we come in, check it out, and see what's gonna aesthetically wise, functionality wise, gonna fit our designs.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about your projects. Do you do new construction stuff, or do you do rehabs and remodels? Do you work with contractors, or are you a contractor? Can you give us a little bit about
Sure.
like a couple of examples of good projects that you're on?
So our projects are in DFW and Houston area, and we work with mainly residential single homes. It could be townhomes as well. Mainly 90%, I would say, is the single homes. And we do new builds or homes that are just being built. So we work with clients who are working with builders, and we work together in collaboration to, even they have already a house, they have a plan, they have the exterior, we can do some modifications before a house is being built. And of course, we're doing remodeling for existing homes. So we're coming in to existing residential unit and got a kitchen. Not us, we're doing the design. So we're not a contractor, we're not all under one roof. We do work, collaborate with different contractors who do the work, we do the design, but again, we're working together.
How much input do you have on the architecture side? Are you just tasked with decorating the house that they've already designed, or do you have input on the design phase of the architecture? So
we, my team, we have girls who have background in architecture, so they have a degree in architecture, and we're not structural engineers, we're not architects, right? So we can provide our suggestion or guidance, but we don't put the stamp how it should be done. But definitely when working with a contract, we're not just decorating to coming in, bringing in, fun pieces and making the place look pretty. We do that too, but it's not just that. We create the plans to, move the walls to see how this space is gonna look like, all the not really behind the walls, but sort of. But again, we confirm that with the contractor before moving forward, of course. And yes, all the planning, all the elevation, all the sketches, renders, all that goes in before the construction begins.
Do you do kitchen layouts? And
We do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And that's actually one of the most common when clients or contractors bring us in to the project, because we all know what we don't like, but we don't know what we like.
Sure.
And we like a lot of different things, but we don't know how to put it together, we cannot envision the space. If we see the room with the wall, we don't know how it's gonna look without even the wall. So we're here, when we start the project, we present to the client different option of layouts. We usually present 2 to 3, depending on the level of construction or remodeling involved, for them to see the space first in 2D plan, but then we'll already do sketch or final render. So they see the space, how it's gonna look like, and do some modification, slight modification, to avoid those costly mistakes down the road. Because sometimes they'll say, well, like this and like this and this, but when they put together, I don't like it. So that's how we, provide the visuals and provide construction documents for a contractor to also, as a guidance. Again, when the walls are open, things will change. But we try our best to stick to original design plans as much as possible, and even, do modification with the contractor. And then we'll do before and after.
So from a customer's perspective, if you were giving them advice on when to engage a decorator in the process, is that, 6 months before they get started actually drawing plans? Tell us a little bit, and I know it's probably a little bit different for new construction versus remodel. So can you give us a optimum time to engage you for both a remodel and a new construction?
Well, we always say the earlier the better. So yesterday, that's
Okay.
that's the answer. As far as you know that you're planning to move or purchase home or do remodeling or build a home, reach out to interior designers, because they can help not just picking the right couch and color of the wall, but they can help with planning the space. The floor plan before a house is being built if it's a new construction, or again, properly plan the space for your family, for functionality and for comfort. And then I would say if you're planning to build a home, I would say 6 months would be a good time frame to reach out before. But again, as far as you know that we're planning to build a house, or our houses will be built in December, right? 2024. Reach out to it 6 months at least. But again, we're not going to be involved already in the process of, changing floor plans and exterior of the home. But we can definitely help with interior design for the new build.
What do you prefer, new construction or remodel?
I would think you'd want new construction every time, right?
There's something charming about reworking an
not-
old floor plan. I don't know. I take a lot of satisfaction in taking something that's old and sort of repurposing it and figuring out new uses for spaces. But
I bet the people would appreciate it more that had lived in the area before and then got it new and be like, whoa, this is way different. And
I mean, there are pros and cons. The new construction, especially if it's a newer style, modern homes, they have high ceilings, they have light floors, they have open concept. There is less that we can do with what was done already, but there is a lot of space to work with interior design, right? Incorporate different feature walls, do any, built-ins, accent lighting, anything like that. But for residential homes, right, the remodeling projects, it's more challenging yet more interesting, because you do need to, especially if we're doing kitchen, right, we need to make sure that while remodeling the kitchen, everything else looks cohesive. It's not that we're just putting, contemporary kitchen there, everything else traditional, and it just doesn't look why this is here and this is here. So for us, it's more, especially older homes, they have certain charm and certain elements also, structural elements that we need to consider while creating design. And we did work on one of the end of last year, in one of the homes downtown Dallas, and it was beautiful project. It was a combination of modern and antique, and it was really the whole house had that charm. You wanted to keep it. You didn't want to gut it and build something brand new. You wanted to keep it, but enhance it and bring a little bit, touch of modern. So I can't say what we prefer more. I think I like both because they have different challenges and we achieve different results. So
you used the word cohesive earlier.
Yes.
One thing I see a lot is they'll take an old, very traditional home on the outside and they'll totally make it modern minimalist on the inside. And so the outside is
Does not match.
cohesive
Yes.
with the inside.
Correct.
Do you see that? Do you have a problem with it, or you just do what the customer tells you?
We don't.
don't do what the customer tells us.
We don't do that. Because again, as I mentioned, customers, when they reach out to us, they don't know what they like, but they know what they don't like. So we guide them through that process, and we tell them what our customers appreciate when we tell them, the truth, straightforward. It's not the yes man. It's how we see and what we want to do, how we want to take the design direction for their home. And for me, it should be, as a man, exterior, interior, it shouldn't match, but it should be cohesive. That's the word of the day.
I have a question, and I think that the answer to this question, don't feel bad about saying the truth, even though you're on a load-bearing wall removal company podcast here, but any movement towards getting away from the open concept and someone saying, gosh, I've got all this open room and I'd like more, I don't know, a reader's nook or more closed off spaces. See any trend like that?
We had few, not inquiries, but clients would bring it up and say, we have an open space and we want to make it, to separate a little bit, or we want to have another home office. But it's not more about putting the wall and separating the space, but there's, many options like to do the glass doors or something like that, right? Like that you can fold it and make it open concept if you wish, or
go back and
close
forth
it
if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To have some separation, yes, but at the same time, most of our projects, no, is an open concept, and we create separate areas.
It's good to hear.
We create different areas, but again, it's one space.
I will say here, we just bought a house and moved out here a month ago, and we decided to do no wall removal in the house and kind of leave. In our last house, it was very open, and we left the walls here, and I got to say, I don't like it. It's just like,
you don't like the walls?
I don't like the walls. I like it open. I like one big room, and we kind of, this house is much smaller. It's about 1,500 feet smaller than our last house, or 1,800 feet smaller. But we left the walls to kind of define some spaces, and I gotta say, I think we should take the walls out.
Yeah, it's not, you feel separated. There's something that's just not as fun. It's just a different atmosphere, and I don't know. It's more inviting, I think, to have everyone be together in their own little spaces, even, and still together.
Do you get into budgeting at all, or do you? So you're providing a budget to the client for,
yes.
And then are you working with the? I guess you probably work with the builder subs, so you're interfacing with the cabinet guy and the various trades that come through, the tile setter on. Or are you providing more? You said construction documents. Are you just providing the construction documents and walking away, or do you manage the process to ensure the product looks like what you have in mind?
So when we just started, and actually right now we have design only. So once we provide the construction documents, we're not involved in the process. And then any issues, the contractor, chosen by the clients, they will deal with any ins and outs. But we found many times many clients would come back to us and say, well, this happened, what should we do? And that's why we just feel that design only, it's just living halfway. Because a lot of things, it looks nice on the pictures, and the plans look great, and the lighting plan, and the plumbing, and every cabinetry, but things will change when construction begins. Nothing goes as planned, never. And we do design management during construction phase. And again, it's not just coming in once a week and seeing and taking videos how everything is pretty. We communicate with contractors pretty much daily. Troubleshooting, if something is, we ordered any fixtures, plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, they got lost, got damaged, we'll deal with that as well. But at the same time, we're there to communicate, it's a communication between vendors, clients, contractors, and we're there if contractor tells us, okay, there is a pipe and we cannot do whatever you have on the plan. So we communicate on what's the best way to keep the design but modified. It's an additional cost, or if we, not an additional cost, what else can we do to make it happen? So again, clients, when they're not involved in the process, there is a lot going on behind the scenes, and we feel if we just provide the construction documents and leave, we're not doing our job, because at the end, it's not going to look as what we designed.
Luba, I've built many houses, and I've done it with and without interior designers. I've done it with good interior designers and bad interior designers.
Genius, genius, genius.
And I will say this: as we went through and built more and more houses, we honed in on the designers that really made it easy and efficient for us as builders. So, as a builder, a good designer is like gold. Once you have someone that can, because a good designer can steer, and I haven't built new houses since probably 2009, so it's been a long time for me to be in that space, but I can only imagine as the internet has taken off, and I'm here to say this internet's here to stay. I think it's going to catch
internet.
on. I think that old internet's going to catch on.
Line up the satellites.
But I can only imagine how much more difficult your job is than it was in 2009, when you have Pinterest and all these other apps where people can see all this stuff. So here's one thing to think about. When you buy a Suburban from Chevrolet, you get what they give you. You don't get everything custom, right? You can't go in and say, my friend has this alternator on her Suburban that I really want. It's made by little Manchurian children in over here,
What?
and it gives the Manchurian children a chance to have a job, and I want to order that. You don't get to pick the leather for your seats in your Suburban, right?
Alligator.
Yeah, so
Alligator skin.
so when you build a custom house, you can pick everything. So there's an inherent, probably overwhelming element to it, because there is so much stuff, and you can see this and look at this, and this was built using sustainable this, and this no animals were hurt in the making of this glaze on this tile. And so it is just like when we built custom homes, it was crazy. And this was in 2009. And I mean, I built custom houses from basically 2001 to 2009. And the amount of choices that were out there were so broad that when we had decorators come in, they could really hone the client and direct the client's energy and effort on specking out different things. And it was, like I said, it was like gold. We had direction out of the designer, and so we had a path, and I wasn't the one going, well, I don't know what tile you need. Just put some tile in there. I can go down to Home Depot and buy you some. But that was the contractor. So from a contractor's, by contrast, I'm talking about, in that sentence, I was talking about the good designers that really got the homeowner's attention, got the homeowner on a path, and helped them see their idea onto the wall or onto the floor, right? So the idea in their head quickly got onto the wall, onto the floor, onto the cap, whatever it was. By contrast, we had designers that would just stir the whole thing up, and they would have the client spun up looking at a bunch of different directions and material, and they were notorious for coming up with this idea that the moss-covered three-handled family Gradunza had to have this certain element, and then we would get into it, and they would have just hyped this thing up to the customer so much, and then, oh, sorry, that thing's got a 28-week lead time. Okay, you didn't think about that before you told these people how critical this one element was. I'm like, wow, that is just so stupid. And it is almost like the progress prevention team. Sure. And we would have these, and I'm not going to name their names, and they're probably dead now because it's been so long since I've actually built houses. But that was absolutely going backwards. And to have a client that had drank the Kool-Aid and was so into this idea, and then we couldn't deliver it, and they would be mad at me that I couldn't get the moss-covered 3-handled family Gradunza, and I'm like, well,
You said that again. You really are. Must have been a real project. That was a real job.
That is, it's a literary reference.
Was it?
Was it?
Very, very cool literary reference. But so what I'm saying here is, the designer can absolutely make or break the project.
I agree with you.
And there is no substitute for someone that knows what they're doing. And someone that knows what they're doing is a tremendous asset to the project. And someone that is just that really, and you can be the most talented person, an unbelievable eye for color, unbelievable eye for design and shape and texture and all the, we would even have designers that were so smart and sophisticated. They were worried about the color, the variations of greens in the hedges outside. They would put this green with this green. And I mean, good stuff, next level, Jedi level stuff on that. And, but if they could not put a workable plan together, it just made the wheels fall off the bus. And tell us how, now that I've given my long diatribe on good and bad decorators.
Which one are you?
Well, I hope that you're not going to say the lousy one. But my question out of that long diatribe is, what do you do to try and facilitate and expedite a project without compromising quality on your ideas and keep the thing moving, but still have keep it moving without compromising your vision?
Sure. So we have a design process, right, that we try to stick to. And the importance of it is the stages of the design process. So when we meet with a client and go along, stage one is the concept development. So that's where we try to get into client's head and get the direction that we're going to. So we have different tools, questionnaires, inspirational pictures, all that information that goes into a conceptual presentation. Then when we hear feedback, we narrow it down to design presentation, which is more specific to the client. And again, we suggest and guide them through the process because, again, they like everything and at the same time nothing. So we need to guide them what's going to be, the right direction for their home. And once we go through design presentation, then we'll already select specific finishes, specific furniture, specific cabinetry, everything they still don't see how it's gonna all look together, we'll already know. And there, I would say with every single project, client would try to, what about this and what about this? But no, if we decided this is what we stick to, especially budget-wise, that's where we're gonna stick to. And we had clients, one of the dear clients, we used the Taj Mahal quartzite and went to the slab center, and it's already on the renderings, it's already everywhere. They loved it, see in person, don't like it. So what we do, we'll walk around, see other options, come back, they love it. So you just need to, again, direct them to the path design direction that we select and just stick to it. And sometimes it takes, some of the convincing, sometimes shed of tears. It's sometimes time will take, but we'll try to stick to, because again, if we're gonna explore other options, involve different contractors, it's gonna be time, it's gonna be a lot of confusion. They're not gonna know what they like at the end. So we have a lot of tools that we use during design process that once we decided, we stick with that. And I don't know, for us and for our clients, it works because we guide them through and then we communicate with the contractor to execute it at the end.
Works for both of y'all, though, when you stick to the plan.
It works.
Works, doesn't work?
When you have an idea in mind that you're trying to deliver for a customer, how do you work in their input and the things that they are interested in? They say, I love this look, and then inherently that's not going to go with the grand plan. Do you try and incorporate that in there and end up with kind of the customer's happy with a little bit of a funny looking outcome, or do you? I guess at some point you have to just let the customer, the person that writes the checks, gets to say how it goes.
Yes and no. Definitely, we ask all different questions to the clients, what they want, what look they would like to achieve, pictures. Overall, it's a combination of different design styles. And then we'll already put this all together. And again, during conceptual presentation, we will show them what we think is going to, look best. And I would say all our clients on board, not immediately, but they see our vision, and they would say, I wouldn't think about that. If we suggest something, I didn't know that finish exists. We can do something this. So once they trust us and go, with the process, there might be not, of course, if they want, white, black, and gray, we're not going to suggest red, yellow, and green.
Because that would be a stoplight.
Exactly.
Nice stoplight.
That's what I was referring to.
Theme in here. It's going to be traffic.
But we work with the client. We listen to them, of course, but we guide them through the process because we already have the expertise. We have,
You're good at what you do.
Yes, I think so. I'd like to think that. And clients would see it, again, once they trust us, they're open to any ideas. And even they tell us, let us know, like, what do you think? What is your opinion? Because we hired you as a professional, and we want your opinion. How would you do it?
How many people do you think come to you that have found you and really honed in on what you offer, and they know all about you, and they've watched all your videos and seen all your social media versus referrals?
I would say majority of our clients come from social media.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Because it really...
A big majority
just
of the
speaking from a
clients.
marketing standpoint, like being able to prime your customer for your process specifically and whatever, your services and stuff, I mean, that's a hotter lead, that's a warmer lead. I mean, it's just about the hottest that it can get, actually. I mean, when they have looked at all your stuff,
Yep.
and then they choose you with the knowledge of having looked around and
I would say what clients who will reach out to us through social media, or they found us on Instagram, they see the aesthetics. That's what they're drawn to. They like that minimalistic look, neutral monochromatic color scheme, that warm, inviting home that's well put together. They're drawn to that. Or they refer to a specific project. We like, specific cabinetry color, or the kitchen you designed, or the bedroom you designed.
they're like, I want that.
I want that. Yes, we had that. I want that specific. And we say, like, we can do copy paste, but at the same time, we can create something for you,
Yeah,
especially
for
if it's custom
your
made.
space.
Yes.
A little different.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. And one thing that I know to be certain is that customers are smart.
Yeah.
People are smart. And I was going to say about when they are locked in on a certain style, one advantage you have with all the education that you've gone through, and then also with your experience, is I've learned that if you can tell them what they want doesn't work technically, if you can say, well, that doesn't work with this because this is a different texture, what you're doing breaks the rule of X, Y, or Z. And if you can talk to intelligent people and give them a reason why what they're thinking doesn't work on a technical perspective, and give some, I always feel like educated people are like, oh, okay, gosh, I didn't know that I was breaking the. Do you
feng shui
do you feel
rule.
like that? Does that make sense?
It does, and we do that. Educate the client as well. But what we're after is more of a human-centric design. creating ergonomic spaces for.
Whoa, that was a big
Yep.
word. Whoa. Human-centric.
Back it up.
Okay, you're going to have to unpack that.
So again, creating ergonomic spaces is not about even building a house, right? When we're building a house, there is so much of a wasted space. It's a big home, 5,000 square feet, but there is a lot of unwanted, or the hallway could be smaller, or the closet could be bigger. So specific space could be allocated to certain areas that make sense for that family, especially if it's custom home, right? And I mean, if we're involved on that stage, we can pretty much walk through the house that is not even being built to see what will make space for that family, taking into consideration size of the family, who's using the space, how often it's being used, the purpose of it, and so on. So there is a lot of factors goes into that. And even, for example, we're designed for our clients a custom headboard. We ask them sit on the bed and place their hand what is the most convenient for them for the switch, right? Because we have the wall sconce, the sconce on the headboard, the outlet, and the dimmer switch.
Oh, wow.
So for them, not just to go kind of try to go too low or too high, what is the most convenient for them, because it was done for them, right? And because they're going to be using it every day, it needs to be just second nature. They just extend the hand, turn it off, that's it, rather than just going and trying to find where it is. So that's what, when we work with clients, we take into consideration all those little details that will, once they're thought through before design is being executed, once it's done, it's just going to be easy for them on a daily basis.
I feel like when you have a customer and you're working with them, when you do a few of those, exactly what she said, sit on the bed, put your hand out, where's the switch go? That's when she was talking about building their trust. That's what builds their trust right there.
I was just thinking that.
You have 2 or 3 of those items and they're like, okay, she's done this before.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like
Yes.
you can see like a light bulb goes off in their head.
Sure.
They're like, okay, I can trust her.
I would feel like
She's
I was
asking
being,
intelligent questions that have a purpose.
Yeah, I feel so taken care of.
And the people that we're working for in these spaces are not a bunch of dummies, right? They're successful and
Sure.
they're hiring
course.
us because they have done well in life. They didn't just fall off the turnip truck with enough money to remodel whatever space. And so when you work for educated, smart, let's just say it, wealthy people, you better bring your A game, right?
Of course.
And they can see through. If you make up an answer, whatever, they're like, no, like I wouldn't know. I've never tried making up an answer, but if I
Of course
did,
not.
but
No, nobody accused you of that, sir.
but in all seriousness, if you and once you've had them sit on the bed and feel for the light switch, because it seems to me that in everyone's head, when they hire a builder and they hire a designer, they think to themselves, I could do this, I just don't have time. Mm-hmm. And what they don't realize that there's a true skill to building and designing, and it's an equation, and you know what works with what and things that go together. And once you break through in their head that you know what you're doing, and once they realize my product will be better if I just let her work.
And again, you notice a well-designed home when you walk into the house, right?
For sure, anybody could.
Exactly.
And they don't even realize, they don't know anything. And if you didn't know anything, you could still realize.
And at the same time, for example, when we're doing, as an example, right, the build-ins for the office, when we ask clients for the inspiration, pretty much all of them, they'll send very similar designs. But again, we know so many other different options based on their needs, right? To make it aesthetically pleasing but functioning, not just put one desk and minimalistic, nothing is there, so we're gonna put everything, all home office equipment and so forth. But so it's designed. So when you hire a designer, we're not just, again, buying pretty finishes and putting it just in the middle of the living room. We're considering the size of the couch, the walkways, the size of the rugs, everything looks to scale, everything looks
well thought out. And,
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it takes time. And that's what hiring an interior designer, I would sign under that. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when you're building a home or you're moving into the new build. You want it to be well put together and complete. Because you can buy furniture and, hang a few arts, but that's it, right? So we're thinking about the space to put it to make it complete.
Do you have people that have gotten to the end of the rope of trying it on their own, and they're like, we're just so tired of everything in our house looks like crap, and so we're hiring you? Or do you also have people that are like, I'm actually really, really good at this, and I've hired you, but looking over your shoulder, or did they just hand it to you?
The second we don't get.
That's awesome.
I think clients or people who know how to, or they have the passion or interest or desire to do it on their own, they don't reach out to us. But we did have clients in the past who would do an impulsive purchase, or they would purchase, they move into the house, they needed a couch, they purchase the couch, and it's too small or too big or doesn't fit, they don't like it, but especially if it's custom, it's non-returnable, it's expensive, they're stuck with that, they're calling, crying, they don't know what to do. So
You got the bat phone.
and again,
They come to your rescue.
I can't tell you how many times I have shed a tear over an improperly purchased couch. I mean,
I have a question I've been looking forward to asking
Sure.
you, because my mom always made us plant plants, and she'd make us plant things in 3. Is the rule of 3 a thing, or is that just a thing that she made? Have you ever heard that, where you plant 1, 2, 3 plants instead of 2 or 4 or 10?
we don't have that rule.
My mom, I've got
Plants
something to say to her.
probably not of Russian origin.
Yeah, my mom's not Russian, so is it a Russision thing? Is it a currency exchange? 3 is 3 here and in Russia, right?
Tres.
How do you say 3 in Russian?
3,
What?
3,
3?
3, like 3, but
Oh, okay.
Quicker.
without
went
without
a lot
TH,
faster.
just T,
3, but faster. Ding.
like 3.
Why wasn't
Okay,
it so
so
weird?
as we move through this, one of the things that I tell my people in the load bearing wall business, and just it's a life principle for me, is if you're not able to give people ballpark pricing, you're either one of 2 things. You're not an expert, or you're shady. And if you're shady, you're trying to see how much they're willing to spend before you answer, and or you don't know. You haven't remodeled enough kitchens to know about how much a kitchen is. And so to me, if you're an expert, you can give ballpark pricing to people and work through that. So my first question is about the ballpark pricing. And then the second part I want you to talk about is, I'm sure you'll agree with this, but it is so helpful to know what a customer's budget is. And I think a lot of times customers are super close-vested. They don't want to tell you how much they have to spend because they're afraid you're going to use all of that. But as a contractor, it's so helpful to have them tell you what they have to spend, because I can know what we're up to then. And if we know what your budget is, then, and especially if you have a customer, or if you're on many of these jobs are cost plus, so the customer sees all the invoices anyway. What difference? I mean, you're not paying for money they didn't spend, so knowing the budget is so helpful. And if I was going to give customers any advice, I would say tell your builder what your budget is,
Sure.
so that they can so they can know how much to put into this. Because if you pay your designer by the hour, which I'm sure you charge by the hour.
We charge a fixed fee.
Oh, do you? Okay.
We do.
Okay. A little different than most places. But so even with your fixed fee, do they want you wasting your time going and drumming up a bunch of stuff that they could never afford? No. That's such a huge waste of the time and energy. Like, give me a budget and let me know. So my two questions are, can you give ballpark ranges? And then also, can you talk about, how helpful it is or not helpful if they were able to give you their budget up front?
Sure. So I will start with the pricing for interior design projects, because we do full service interior furnishings and full service interior design, which involves construction, right? For kitchen, remodels, bathrooms. So let's start with interior design. So if we're looking to furnish the home, and again, it's going to be for furniture and furnishings, because design will depend, or budget for design will depend on the actual design materials, labor, cost. But for example, for the living room, if we're furnishing it fully and including the custom made curtains with custom hardware, installation, we're looking at about, again, it's very average. We're looking at about 21 to 30 for everything, plus the design fee. And dining room, it could be, again, all the furnishings, custom curtains.
Wow,
or
that is a really good price. So 21 to 30K
She's
for
like,
your...
just wait.
But again, for some clients, we had on the couch cost more than $25,000 or more. So
I'm not buying one of those.
It all depends, right?
All
Again,
depends, yeah.
It's very, every project is so unique and different. We don't copy paste. We don't say, oh, we'll use this rug everywhere, and that's how I know
Sure.
how much it's going to cost. Different square footage, different materials, different, size of the couches, how many chairs, coffee tables, and so on. But that's very average, right, for the living room. For the dining room, we're looking at about, I would say, 12 to 17. Again, that does not include any custom work, any custom built-ins, any benches, any cushions, anything like that.
Wow, okay.
For the bedroom, that can go, and that's, again, plus, right? So that's dining room will be 12, 17 plus range. For the bedroom, we're looking at about, I would say, 15 to 20 plus, again. And when we're working with kitchens, for example, right, remodel a kitchen, again, many different factors are, we're thinking about, budgeting in the quote, but average, well, which is average size kitchen? I would say kitchens that we worked with in the past were about, I would say 70, that would be the very minimum, and then 70 to 100 plus. But then we're looking at appliances about 35 to 40, again, depending on the brand.
Yeah.
Well, so Luba, on those ranges that you're giving, when you come to see a client like me, and I'm way poorer and dumber than probably everyone else you're working for.
Not at all, sir.
But when you give me ranges on my projects, like you'll have me eating out of your hand, because now I know that, and especially if you said that to me on the phone, like, okay, here, we can come and help you. I just want you to know a bedroom's 15 to 20. Wow. Okay. Well, now I know I need to set aside 20 grand and then have you out and let's get to work and put a bedroom together that makes sense. I think that is so helpful, and that is so smart for you to have those. And
you said without going into the custom realm, so then that person that might be thinking about custom is like, okay, then they know too.
That
and
they
like,
know
I
that
actually
it's an
have some
additional
more.
expense.
Yeah,
Yes.
if I want custom, it doubles the price on everything.
Yeah.
And again, when we, on our website, when clients fill out the contact us form, we have a question, what's your budget, right? And we start with 50 to 150, I think 50 to 150 to 250, 250 plus their budget, right? Because depending on scope of work as well. Or we're looking at 1 room, 2 rooms, main floor, the whole house, what we're looking at. And when you see that number, 50,000, that's a lot, right? Like, what are you gonna spend? But when you break it down room by room, and what you're getting, then you say, okay, now I understand. And that's why when we send our design proposals, it's all broken down. For example, if we have, mainly we work with multi-rooms, main floor or the whole house. and we'll break it down what we're doing in the living room, what's included from the furnishings, what's the range for that design. Again, our construction depends on design that we choose. But if we know, for example, we're doing build-ins, we'll put the range based on our previous projects as well. So it will give a good idea, and then we'll put the total. The same, for example, for kitchen. We'll provide rough estimate for the construction for their size of the kitchen, square footage, what they're looking for, appliances range, materials, also finishing materials range, and the totals. So when client look at it, they say, okay, well, this is what I'm looking at.
And appliance, you're very smart to separate appliances because that's the biggest swing, right? You can go get a $500 dishwasher or you can get a $3,000 dishwasher in the blink of an eye, and that's 6 times, right, if I'm doing the math right.
Sure.
6 times. So, I mean, there's nothing in the tile world or in the flooring world that can go 6x from something that's functional to something that is, right? And so that appliance number, you go into the Sub-Zero Wolf range,
and that's
it's just
not going to be in a 35, 40.
Right. Yeah, you can spend $150 on appliances in a heartbeat.
Yes. So that's why it all depends on the client's needs, wants, design, budget. So there's a lot of factors we consider.
Yeah, I think that's. I think it's so cool, and you pointed it out earlier. But I lost my train of thought, so we'll probably edit that out. But what did you say earlier? You were saying about
Moss covered 3-handled.
Yeah, that's what it was. The moss covered 3-handled.
It's from the Grinch.
Oh, is it? Just if you don't have the prices, then you either seem shady or that you don't know what you're doing. And I just think that's.
You think that's an accurate characterization of people that can't give you any pricing at all? You're not an expert or you're shady.
It's just, especially in the contractor world.
I would say it's more, yes, it's more in the contractor. But when it comes to interior design, every project is very individual. Everything is customizable.
Some people leave you with that answer only, and that's it. And they're like, and that's true. And it's a true thing. They could go to any interior designer, and that would be the answer. Not having anything, like when people call us and they're like, we really want to remove a wall. What am I looking at? And if we were to say, it changes because it does on every project. And they're like, is it 5? Is it 20? Is it 100? What? I mean, you can't give me anything? And like, no, I can't. Like, we got to come to your house and take measurements.
So the other answer they give you is they say, how much is a car? And they say, well, you can buy a used Pinto from the junkyard that doesn't run for $2,000, or you can buy a blue Bugatti for $2 million. Like, listen, sir, I don't want a Bugatti and I don't want a Pinto. Like, I need something in the middle that drives me to work.
Decent.
And what, like, I mean, like, use some sense. Like, they're not asking you how much a Bugatti is, and they're not asking you how much a broken Pinto is.
Yeah.
They want a Chevrolet in the middle. Give them a Chevrolet price. I mean, and the other thing is, I've realized if you couch it in a way like this is a ballpark bid. I'm giving you a ballpark. I'm giving you a range. And what I say is this is our historical. I said this is based on historical projects that have come before you. And if you just say, using historical information, this is about what you're asking for ends up. They're like,
yeah.
Well, that's super smart, and and you have to realize that this is a competitive world, and if you don't go in there and give these people a reason to trust you on your first meeting, you're just going to be summarily dismissed. You'll be the same as everyone else. And so if you can think of 2 or 3 interesting things to give, nuggets to give them, but you have to be right. You can't just be willy-nilly spitting stuff out that doesn't make any sense. And so you have to think through this and give them information that is meaningful to their project, is actually going to help them, and it's going to help them make a decision.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes. And also when we work with clients, for us, again, there are so many different designers and so many talented designers, right? But what we pride ourselves in doing is providing visuals to the clients throughout the process so they can see the space before the construction begins or the design project begins. So again, to avoid losing time, to avoid costly mistakes, frustrations, going back and forth. We can alter and modify it on the design stage if they or see, few options for, what kind of cabinetry we're going to be using. Are we using white oak or using paint gray cabinetry, right? How is it going to look like? What's going to cost, this option versus this option? They can make a smart decision because it's an investment, right? And it's going to be for a long time. So you want to make a right decision, especially when you hire us and pay us. That's investment as well. So we want to guide you in the right way that it's going to benefit you in the long term. So for us, visuals are very important.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that it sounds like that you can steer people pretty easily through your process, and really smart that you have your ranges to go off of for pricing. And
Yeah, and so your range kind of represents probably two, the good and the better. So if you're breaking your range down, I took what you said, and you said we're furnishing a family room, 21 on the low side, 30 on the high side, and that's the good at 21 and the better at 30. But then the best is that custom field that we get into.
Correct.
And that's just there's no really way to.
And it's the nature of the custom.
There's no way to speculate on that and predict where they're going to land. But that gives your customer something like, okay, I know if I'm in the custom range, I should probably double the high end or whatever it is. Yeah, I think that's really smart. We do a lot of that three-tier kind of pricing, good, better, and best, and I think it works pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can get to this last part and just wrap this up. This could be more soundbite-ish, or if we've already covered it, but this interior designers are not contractors and contractors are not interior designers.
That's true.
You want to get into that for this last part, and then I think that'll probably have us all wrapped up if we want to do that.
Sure. And we did also, we probably saw many reels on Instagram as well that designers and contractors use that trend. We did that too. And
oh, was that a trend?
it was a trend at one point.
Oh, okay.
I think so. But we saw it a lot. A lot of interior designers and contractors agree with that as well. I stand by it because everybody has their area of expertise. We don't pretend to be contractors. We work with them. We have one purpose, right? We're working on the same project. And both teams work on that project to run smoothly and, the best result for the clients, of course. But again, we have separate jobs in that process. Designers are more focusing on not just aesthetics, but space planning and, working with a client on creating the space that works for them, considering their wants, needs, daily routine, and so forth. So once all the finishes, what they like, going through visuals, of course, and then once we have all the plans, we selected the plans because, again, when we create the plans, it's not just what we think the best, but it's what works the best for the clients because they're going to be the one who live in that space, right, once it's renovated. And every single day they're going to be utilizing that space. And then we'll already work with a contractor to execute it. So they come with their knowledge, like technical knowledge, right, and to make sure that it adheres, with safety policies when they're building. And they know and guide us, if they can execute the design, but what can be done. So we work in collaboration, and that's very important for everybody focusing on their area of expertise. But again, bring all the knowledge and expertise to the table and work together on the same project and the goal.
The thing I don't like about the designer contractor is I always wonder, like, if they're really focused or really push on a certain idea or concept, if that's not the place where they get the cheapest cabinets or whatever else. And so I like separating the two because I know if my designer's really pushing on these soft closed door, whatever
Sure.
it is. It's not something that they get a spiff on or some over, like you're like, she's pushing on it because she likes that, not because of any other reason. And I in my head, the designer contractor, I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I just had autonomy of the two bodies. And
But again, when we work with a contractor and we already have everything, the floor plan layout, what kind of cabinetry, what kind of paint, what kind of hardware, what kind of
yeah, and then
everything
he's
goes.
sourcing it on his own. He's on his own. He's
Exactly.
doing his own thing, and it's not.
And it's helpful for them as well, so they don't need to go through that process again.
Right.
Because clients would ask, "What about this? What about that?" And the contractor, like, you tell me, what do you want, right? So our goal is to make the job of the contractor easier, right? And again, more smooth. And if there are any bumps on the road, then we'll work in collaboration. But again, for us, we work with a client to iron out all those details, and then when we meet with contractor, they already have a well laid out plan on how the space is going to look like, what kind of materials we're using. It's also helpful for them to provide the quote, right? Again, there will be a difference in materials used. Is it quartz or quartzite? Is it white oak or paint grade? Or is it what kind of, soft close or regular hinges? More drawers or doors? There is so many details that we work on.
A lot of moving parts.
Exactly. Once the contractor knows, they can provide a better quote for the client, so there will be no, I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that, or the clients will add along the way, oh, what about this? I saw on Instagram this, or, something, and it will change. So we already have that, kind of stick to the plan and move forward.
But it's better for the designer and the contractor, but also for the client.
For the client, yes.
It's just the amount of detail that they wouldn't have to provide if they got called at work and didn't have, the the master plan, the 3-ring binder,
And that's what, previously, when we weren't involved in the process, the design management during construction phase, the client would reach out to contractor, or contractor would reach out to client and ask, so what do you want? And client said, well, I don't know. What do you think? And they're going back and forth, and contractor needs an answer, and the client not sure what to do, what's the right way to do. And that's why we're there to direct and communicate with both to make sure that,
if it were your first time, then that would be the most valuable service ever.
Luba, awesome information today. Thank you so much for coming out. You're a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate you doing that. It's helpful for the listeners to get a feel for kind of some behind-the-scenes stuff on how you got to putting your price ranges together, and I think that really expedites the process, and that's tremendously helpful. So thank you, and
And check out the DECOROOM on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
That's where Luba's
and
displayed on the social media. And
if you're interested and want to dig in further into Luba's work, check out the DECOROOM on Instagram. She has an awesome representation there of her products and her offerings, and encourage people to go there and check that out.
yeah, and so thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and you're not done yet. Now it's time for the lightning
stuff.
round. So this is the lightning round. We're gonna have lightning round
Okay.
music.
ready.
That's gonna be. Okay. What was your first car?
Mazda
Mazda what?
CX-5.
Mazda CX-5. All right. Is that a fast car?
No,
Oh.
it's a SUV.
Are you
I
a?
was really hoping for an answer that you couldn't pronounce in English.
She's Russian.
No.
By the way. Are you a cat or a dog person or neither?
A dog person.
Dog. Okay. Dream vacation spot: mountain, beach, or snow?
Definitely beach.
Thought you were gonna say snow. Being
Definitely
Russian.
beach. No, no snow.
Definitely the beach. What's your favorite color?
neutrals.
Light tan.
All the neutrals.
Death by 1,000 slashes of tan.
50 Shades of Beige.
What do you think of the French? Be honest.
Of what?
The French.
Oh, the French?
As in fries.
No, okay, my kids love that. No, I love French food, not the French fry.
French
French
toast?
language. French toast, that's a good one too.
When the French started talking, they get right on there.
Sounds so romantic.
I love the way you look.
It's the second official language in Canada. Too.
No, is it really? Oh, it's French Canadian.
Yes.
My next door neighbor's French Canadian. Yeah. So that seals the deal. I just
That's
ruled
it.
that as authority. Favorite live event: sports or concerts?
Concerts.
Concerts. Okay.
Concerts.
Last concert you went to?
Oh, that was when I was a kid.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
back in Russia, actually.
Neil Diamond?
That was really
Neil Diamond in Russia?
Chicken, beef, or pork?
chicken.
Would you prefer to handle a snake or ride a bull?
Ride a bull.
Not a
That
snake.
was fast.
That was fast. You must hate snakes.
What's your greatest fear of all time?
Snakes.
Landed the plane on that one.
Well, that's. Thank you, Luba, for coming.
Wait, I got a question.
Sure.
Are you an Olympics fan?
I am.
I
am.
love the Olympics.
I used to watch it.
I can't wait, and I love the Olympics,
Yeah, me too.
and I love beating Russia in gymnastics.
America.
Seriously, the Russians are so good at gymnastics, and
You can't beat the Russians at gymnastics.
Oh my gosh!
You try and you're just like,
Okay, and you got to cheer for the homeland. This is your chance to cheer for all the Russian athletes out there, right?
Well, I'm gonna cheer probably for all Russia, Canada, U.S.
Oh
Can
man,
I do that?
you have a wide, yeah.
I do that?
I just go through and pick winners, and
Well, and then I'll have to, times 3.
right. Luba, thank you so much. You're an awesome guest,
Yes.
and you have
So much
a
for
wealth of
having me.
information. You're fun to have, and it's fun to hear someone laugh, and I like it.
It was so much.
thanks for watching the Pros podcast. Come back and watch us again. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining.